That's what we like on the show, Pottymouth.
All right.
All right. So welcome, baseball fans. It is the new year. It is the first episode of the new year. No, technically it's the second episode because I dropped a tiny little blurb of a conspiracy theory. That was going to be our first episode. So you were technically our second episode. And obviously you guys can see if you were on YouTube, these are not my usual co-hosts. Shelby unfortunately cannot make it tonight. She had a tiny situation that she may or may not say. But anyhow, these lovely ladies are the co-host and host of the No Crying in Baseball podcast. We have Patti and Pottymouth with us. I say us like I have a mouse in my pocket. I don't. It's just
it's the royal we. It's okay.
It's well, I mean, it's we. So I have my drink. So maybe it's my drink and I.
It could be, yeah.
So I'm drinking bourbon, and I will suffer through the bourbon because that is the name of the show. But I've got my Bloody Mary on the other hand. So are y'all drinking, Patti and Pottymouth?
Yeah, I'm definitely drinking. I was told that it didn't have to be bourbon, which was because I didn't have bourbon in the house, but I would have purchased some because I actually do like a caramel-colored liquor very much. But I'm drinking Chachos, which is a locally distilled jalapeno-infused aguardiente. And I've got it diluted a little bit because I want to be somewhat coherent with some lime seltzer, which makes it just right. But if I have a coughing fit, it's the jalapeno hitting me just right.
Coherency is overrated on this podcast.
I figured you'd understand.
That's not one of those that we care about over here. But what is an aguardiente?
Aguardiente. It's a sugarcane liquor. Yeah. So Chachos is actually named for a llama that the owner met when he discovered, I guess, aguardiente. I got nothing. It's just very delicious. They have three kinds. They have the original. This one is the barrel aged because I like a caramel colored liquor. So I'm more of the bourbon, the rye, the whiskey person. So it has that kind of rounded thing. They also have another one where they said, well, they made a mistake and they put in 4 times the jalapenos into the recipe and they were going to pitch the whole batch. And they said, hold on a second, let's try this. And they tried it and they slapped a label and I'm no kidding. It's in masking tape and it just says Diablo and they sell it.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was too much for me, but I did, in fact, gift one to a sibling. The rest of my siblings got the barrel aged because they're much more reasonable people.
Yeah. And what are you drinking, Pottymouth?
I am drinking Basil Hayden, which is a lovely bourbon recommended by my sister-in-law originally. And when I walked into the liquor store on the way home thinking I need some bourbon because I do appreciate bourbon, it was right there. It was like the end cap right there on sale. And I was, happy shopper, grabbed a bottle and came home. And I have it in my Boston Wicked Big Shot glass because
you're a wicked so big
much
shot
of a
from
wicked
Boston.
Big Shot, but I'm a wannabe Wicked Big Shot from Boston.
You are a masshole.
Well,
I am. I'll admit that. I will.
At some point, we can talk about how disappointing the Red Sox offseason was.
That was one thing I was like waiting for in your last episode, Suzy. Is I'm waiting for them to mention a Red Sox any Red Sox player, like any category. Nothing.
Sorry.
You talk about them enough for anybody.
Just you wait and see. Just you wait and see.
Sorry. Well, Jeter Downs may have a great year for somebody else. I don't know.
Well, now I'm going to be able to see him up close and personal because he's going to be here at the Nationals. So,
that's right. I forgot. They picked him up.
Yep. So that's kind of cool, and watch him do really well here. And it'll be happy because we get to go. That's the park that we get to go to because that's where we live. But yeah.
We also get to go to Camden Yards, but you keep leaving that part out.
We do. Well, we can take the metro to Nats Park.
That's true.
And we do go to Camden Yards a lot. And if anybody wants to know of a really good place to drink before the game at Camden Yards, hit us up because we got the brewery for you.
Well, I will say we have we as in the Astros fan base, we have 2 teams that are our daddies. And 2 that you wouldn't think would be our daddies. The Oakland A's. Which
ouch.
Exactly.
I was shocked when you said that in the last show.
Yeah. Yeah. The only team to have swept us last season, the Oakland A's.
That's wild.
That's really kind of stunning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Apparently when the team is below 500, we are just so scared and we cannot play to our capabilities. I don't even know.
Is that it? Or does it the players get a little full of themselves like, oh, I don't have to worry about this one. They're under 500.
No, I don't even know. I don't even know. It's just mine. It's mind boggling. It's the Oakland A's and the Baltimore Orioles. And I don't, so like the pitching for Baltimore, you got some guys over there that are good, but their numbers do not reflect how good they are.
Yep.
And so when we face them, we're like, oh, we got this. No, Dean Kramer said, hey, guess what? I'm going to throw 8 3/4 no-hit innings against y'all. And we're like, Dean Kramer? Like, who the fuck?
Look him up. Where the heck is he?
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I see you, Mike Elias, with your analytics and you're coming from the Astros front office. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. I see you.
Sure.
And that's okay. So it's the A's and the Orioles, but sneakily, the Orioles, position players, hats off, because I will watch Adley Rutschman all day.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. And so, like, for the record, my son is named Camden for Camden Yards. So,
Love it.
like, we've been in it. Like, you know, like we're deeply in it. The kid's 21, so like, you know, we're not just a flash in the pan. Hey, they were cool this year. It's like it's forever.
Right.
I say
and I'm dedicated going to Camden Yards because that's the closest place I can see the Red Sox often. So that's my dedication.
But what happens when they move Kike to shortstop?
Oh my God, that would be hysterical. It's not going to happen. Maybe he'll be at second and Trevor Story will go to shortstop. But, I will watch Kike anywhere. And we may have gotten center field seats last year just in order to be close to Kike.
Yes. If when Kike ends his baseball career, he needs to go into broadcasting.
Did you watch him? Yes.
And, I don't even know what that was. Was that the hockey team? So the field turns into a hockey rink. Is that what it is?
So every year there's a winter classic somewhere, and this year it happened to be at Fenway. And I think it was the second time that they've done it there. But they turned the baseball diamond into a hockey rink, and it looks so tiny. It's really funny when you see it from the air.
Yeah, because I mean, it's just this this rectangle in the middle of the field. And yet the commentators were talking about, oh yeah, the sun's coming up behind home plate. And like, they don't know where home plate is because they're on an ice rink. But they also had like, here's the platform over here where we've got the Boston Pops completely set up on the field. And here's where we have the honorary, what was it? It was a puck pitch.
Yes, I was about to say that was my favorite part, was the puck pitch. And like, then you have to say it 10 times fast. And it was Bobby Orr, which is just like that's from my youth, everybody's hero. Pucking, I don't know. flicking the puck. Flicking the puck to Jason Varitek. Caught it. He caught as Patti put it, he mostly like didn't let it get by him. But that's a skill for a good catcher. So Varitek was there.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days?
They are. So I hear. Yeah. All the kids, all the kids, all of our contemporaries. Yeah. That's
the youth. Of course, I have to say my favorite part of watching a hockey game is continually screaming, and Patti can vouch for this.
Oh my God.
Get the puck out of there. Because
it never got old.
Half the game. And I just crack myself up because,
the best part was Pottymouth was actually trying to like multitask, and so she would scream, "Get the puck out of there!" when it was actually in the place that she wanted it to be for the Bruins. Like, no, you don't know, wrong team.
They switched.
We were cross training.
They were all black and gold. Also,
they were both teams, the Penguins and the Bruins.
It was It was quite a scene, and you couldn't tell which fans were who, which kind of gave this a hint of unanimity, right? Everybody's just together in this.
It was a
unanimity.
Yeah, I was making anonymity.
I thought you were going to go for anonymity or no, but
unity.
You were
unity would be the word.
Unity.
Okay, so unity and anonymity mixed together is
unanimity.
Is exactly what was happening in the stands of Fenway Park that night.
Gotcha.
So,
Suzy, when we do our podcast, we divide the roles, and my role is find the word that Pottymouth means, which is different than the word that Pottymouth says.
Always.
You mean thermostat. Okay.
I really need to take you around like wherever I go because nobody understands me without you.
Take me to Miami.
Right.
Suzy, come to Miami with us.
We're going to Miami, Suzy.
Are your Patreon fans paying for that?
Right. Yeah, you're getting the bill in the mail. No, we decided to suck it up. And I had been drinking and I had a credit card, and we got on the computer and found an Airbnb and some plane tickets. And just now I ordered some actual tickets to see a game. So like we're at least seeing one game.
So yes, we're going to the World Baseball Classic. We're going to see 2 quarterfinal and 1 semifinal games for the World freaking Baseball Classic in Miami.
I'm so excited for y'all. I'm so excited.
Come meet us.
Well, we've been batting around, like, do we go to World Baseball Classic? Because both of us want to go. I'm like, or do we go see like a spring training game? And then I put it out on our Twitter, and someone had said, the last time I went to the World Baseball Classic in Miami, and then just shot on down and watched a spring training game. I'm all, that might be the smartest idea I've ever heard in my everness. I was like, that may be an idea. Shelby. And then she has a big girl job, and so she never checks her Twitter like during the day. And so at night I'm all, check your Twitter, Shelby. And she's like, damn it. And then she has to like wade through all of the tags that I've tagged her in. And she's like, can you just tell me what we're doing?
How it works for us is the Pottymouth just screenshots things and texts them to me through the day so I see them.
Yeah.
Because, big girl job, not like, public school stuff like Pottymouth.
Right. Like there's definitely zero reason why I should be on Twitter during the day yet.
Come meet us in Miami. Oh my God, how much fun would that be?
That would be so much fun. So, okay, so we'll figure this out. And I was like, maybe my Patreon. No, I'm just kidding. We have no Patreon fans. We'll have to start an OnlyFans and do feet pictures to fund that.
Oh man.
Oh my God.
But we shall see if we can figure that out. So we'll talk off air on that. But
okay.
So let me back up, guys, and let me kind of tell you, the audience, how I found the No Crying in Baseball podcast. So in my wanting all of the vast baseball knowledge, I started listening to all of the baseball podcasts. And I don't know if you listen to a lot of baseball podcasts, but a lot of baseball podcasts are older guys. Lots of older guys. So many old guys. And don't get me wrong, I love old guys. I got one on my own, right? Like, I'm good. All right. I just maybe didn't want to hear all of the old guys all the time.
Right.
And so I literally had typed up women podcasts about baseball. Are there any in here? Anybody at all? And I found a couple, and a lot of them were not the type of content that I wanted to listen to. A lot of them didn't have, like, I don't want to say the meat and potatoes, but that's essentially what it was. There was not actual baseball content. Right. Yes. It was a lot of fluff. Let's just say that. It wasn't the content that I wanted to hear. And I finally landed on y'all's podcast, and I was like, shut the fuck up. First off, there is one of the hosts named Pottymouth. Like, right from the very get-go, I was like, she may be my spirit animal. She may be my fucking spirit animal. I think I kind of fucking love her. And then I started actually listening to the podcast. I'm like, these bitches know what they're talking about. I like it. And so
we're full of the pull quotes that we're going to use for our promos.
Right. Yeah, perfect. It's what I'm known for, just the super awesome one-liners. But that's how I found you guys. And so I became an avid listener and really liked the content that y'all had put out. And then was like, oh, we get to play fantasy baseball? Done. Done and done. So I joined the Fantasy Baseball League.
Even with all the stupid rules?
Even with the stupid rules. I still don't understand how it's scored. I legitimately still don't understand.
But we can talk later. Like on top almost the whole season. That was like some sneaky shit at the end by Brian. Yeah.
I shake my fist, Brian. I love you, but I shake my fist. But yeah, no, but it was great because it got me out of my comfort zone of having to get to know all of the different players and all the different positions and figuring out, okay, like which team is he on? Like, how can I get all of the players that I need to get in the positions that I need to get them, right? And so again, I still don't understand the scoring on it, but I've loved it. But I loved the content that y'all put out, and I just love that you are a different voice, a different point of view, essentially, in the sea of old white guys talking about baseball. Let's just be really honest, right? And so, like I told Aram in our last episode, who they have the Just Baseball show, and they are younger younger guys, and they crack me up because I told Aram that at one point in one of the episodes, they had posed the question, is Lil Uzi Vert the best rapper of all time? And I was like, fucking I can't listen to these motherfuckers. They are like fetuses. I can't.
No, I don't know who that is.
God, exactly.
Like, I'm clueless.
So, like, I knew who Lil Uzi Vert was. My senior reps would tell me, gave me the nickname Lil Suzy Vert. And it did not click until like 4 months later that that's where they pulled it from. Like, I did not put two and two together. But Lil Uzi Vert is a rapper, not the best rapper of all time. I wouldn't even put him in a mediocre rapper.
So your nickname coming off of his, was that a compliment or was it a little dig that you didn't get?
No. Well, so Lil Suzy Vert is my nickname that my senior reps gave me. That like my high school kids, because I'm a photographer, and so in my day job, I have to deal with a lot of high school kids, and so they gave me the nickname Lil Suzy.
I can relate.
That was the nickname they gave me, and I was like, that's a weird nickname, but okay. Again, not putting two and two together that Lil Suzy Vert was a rapper, or Lil Uzi Vert was a rapper. And so it made me laugh, but it just made me laugh even more that they were talking about Lil Uzi Vert being the best rapper of all time. I'm like, I can't listen to y'all because you are literally 5 years old. Like,
I'm going to have to go to Google on this.
Like, you're not going to name like Nate Dogg, like none of those, like Busta Rhymes, none of them. Lil Uzi Vert is the best rapper. I was like, I can't with you. I can't.
Yeah, no,
and
who are you?
It made
even,
me
right?
laugh that it was that they were like 4. I was like, you are tiny fetuses, and I cannot deal with y'all. But it made me happy that you guys were that different voice in baseball, and not that you only talk about baseball, but you guys talk about the Dominican leagues, the winter leagues, the KBO. The Nippon League, all of those things that 99% of other podcasts don't cover. And I was like, I really like their content. I really do. And again, like I said, Pottymouth is my spirit animal because
mine too.
Just all of the F-bombs.
All right.
I love her. So when I told Shelby about the podcast, she's like, wait, what? Who are these people?
Yeah.
What? And I was like, it's these two women, Patti and Pottymouth, and she's like, Pottymouth? Like, that's her. I was like, that's not her actual name, silly. I was like, that's just what they call her because I was like, just listen to this, just listen to an episode. And she goes, I see now.
It
all becomes clear.
Yeah.
Well, that's really sweet. I'll have to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you guys, like, how did you guys start? Were you friends and you just talked baseball all the time and you were like, let's record this?
We're not even really friends now, are we? Oh wait,
it's like, I don't remember how long. Yeah, you can take the lead on this, Patti. You're way more coherent.
We have known each other since our 21-year-olds were actually, yours was in utero, I think, when we met. So we've known each other for quite a while. So Pottymouth's house, the basement is set up for all the grand sporting events with a great big entire wall size projection for sporting events. So we're all there for Super Bowls and important baseball games and all the things. So we were there one time to watch a playoff game in 2017. And one of our neighbors, who came to be called El Jefe, was amused by the two of us just shouting things back to the game. And he said, you guys
don't know anything about that. Ooh.
Said, you guys are pretty funny. Have you thought about a podcast? Like, you understand that a podcast wouldn't be us shouting things at a game as it happens. Although we have thought about maybe calling an inning as a podcast sometime,
right.
putting it on mute and calling one. But he said, he was trying at the time to start a podcast business. He said, you know what? Why don't we try this? Why don't you guys, think about what you would do if you had a baseball podcast? And, I want to learn about, producing and all of this stuff. So let's try it out. And then it just sort of happened. And so we started during the 2017 World Series. You might be familiar with that one.
I wasn't actually. I didn't become a baseball fan until 2018. Legitimately.
Wow. I think that's super admirable, especially in Astros land. I think that's super admirable. Right. I mean, for the record, in 2017, we were clueless while we were, recording while the playoffs were happening. And we're very excited about the Astros at that point in time. But yes, we were in fact guinea pigs for our friend El Jefe starting his podcast business. And he just sort of got us rolling. And we had... The nickname was courtesy of Patti prior to the podcast ever happening, because I said, as soon as he told us, what you were going to do, and I was like, when I watch sports, my Boston mouth comes out, and I work for the public school system. Those two things don't work together. And he said, well, you can have an alias. And he said, well, what will your name be? And Patti, without like missing a beat, was like Pottymouth. Like, I already call her that when we go to baseball games, because we have this joke that we do the toddler scan when we sit down in our seats.
I do the toddler scan. You always forget to. Small child, stop saying the things that you're saying.
Yeah, because, I get a little bit exuberant when we're watching a game. And it never fails that the kid's like in front of me or on the side of me. Like, they try so often when we go to games with me and Mr. Pottymouth and Patti together, I get put in the middle because there's less chance of me disturbing a child.
But like bourbon and baseball, Patti and the Pottymouth was also partly alliteration is our friend, right? So we thought we would go with that. So, we've kind of like taken it on our own, but we just recorded our 272nd episode, I think is the one that dropped today. Yeah. Plus there've been some in between there that are just like standalone interview episodes. So we've been doing this every week, almost every week since the 2017 World Series.
That is amazing. So like I said, Shelby and I, this is our technically 22nd episode.
Cheers. Yay.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So we are, and Shelby and I, we just laugh because legitimately, if in, like 43 years, this job can actually pay us, we will be so excited. But until then, I do care that if we have listeners, but Shelby and I would just be very excited to just talk baseball with one another and give our poor significant others a break from all of the rantings and ravings that we do. And the funny thing, so I took Shelby's senior pictures. My husband actually took Shelby's softball pictures when she was like 7, like actual in-game softball pictures, because Mike knew Shelby's mom and they worked together, and Shelby is like a badass softball player and went to University of Houston and won all kinds of accolades and was like 2017 like player, not 2017, like 2011 I think, or 12 player of the year, and and she never ever like puts that out there, and I'm like, bitch, if I was like player of the year, I would wear a shirt, I would have a sandwich board.
Have you met me? I was player of the year.
So like when she was in high school, you're talking?
In college.
Wow. Yes. Holy shit.
Yeah. Exactly. It's even more impressive because she went to University of Houston, played softball, went on a full ride, and she's a legit athlete. And then me over here tripping over my own feet cannot. It's not a thing, And so I always ask her athletic questions.
So explain this thing that people do with their bodies. I don't know.
I was like, I don't understand what. So at some point in time, we are actually going to go and do batting practice. And she's like, this is going to be so much fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Just watching you. I was like, that's mean, Shelby. It's mean, but
So have you ever had to talk with her about why softball? Like, was baseball not an option for females when she was playing? Do you know?
Or was softball the choice? Because softball is a real sport,
Yeah,
pretty much.
Especially for a full ride, if you're going to get a scholarship, that's for sure.
So, I mean, she had played softball, like I said, since she was 5. Yeah. I mean, since she was little, that was the thing. And there was no baseball. And still down here, there's really not baseball for girls. Like, if you're a girl, you're playing softball, and that's unfortunate. And I have 7-year-old identical girl twins, and they also love the Astros.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I
told them from both sides of the family. I mean, are both of you Astros?
Mike loved baseball, so like most of the stuff behind me,
it's such cool stuff. See,
is his old memorabilia from like the 90s era of Astros. He played baseball in high school and college and all through his life, basically. But he watched baseball. I hated baseball. Legitimately hated baseball. I was asleep during the 2017 World Series.
Oh, no.
And he had to wake me up during the game.
That's hysterical.
5. And he's like, he literally woke me up. I was sleeping on the couch. Alex Bregman walked it off. And I woke up and I was like, I don't.
What do any of those words mean, right?
That individually I understand, but then you strung them together in a sentence, and I don't know what you're talking about.
Send me a newsletter.
He's like, Wait, one. I was like, yay! Why the fuck did you wake me up to tell me this? Like, I was so mad that he woke me up, and I didn't. Forever I did not like baseball. I didn't understand baseball. I legitimately asked him. I was like, so Jose Altuve is our shortstop? And he's like, no, Carlos Correa is our shortstop. I'm all, but then why is the shortstop? I was like, shouldn't Jose Altuve be? He's like, that's not
what it means.
No,
That's
no,
hysterical.
Suzy, just stop. And I was like, but
So
it's shortstop. And he's like, no, just stop. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so I became a fan in like 2018 after they won the World Series and all that. Then I became a fan and learned baseball and learned the players, and then took it to the next level. And now my husband's like, can you just stop talking about baseball for just like 1 minute? Can we talk about anything but baseball? I'm like, sorry, I can't do that.
Was it winning the World Series that and like getting swept up in that, or was there some other event that, like, I'm sure your listeners already know this, but I want to know this.
No, really. So, I mean, everybody, he's like, I don't think you understand the importance. I'm like, obviously I don't. Like, I don't know any of this, And so I think it was a little bit of everybody was talking about the Astros, everybody, and especially down here where we live, it is a baseball laden town, essentially. All the little boys play baseball, all the little girls play softball. It's a thing. And I'm like, cool. Sports ball, yay!
Sports ball.
And then I was like, let me kind of get into this. Like, is it what I don't understand? Like, what's going on? And so slowly but surely, I got into the 2018 Astros season and just kind of watched baseball and kind of understood it. And then was like, what's going on? Are we good? Are we not good? And then
How do I know?
And then and then the Red Sox beat us, and I was like, oh, is that we're not good? Is that what's going
used
on?
to happen
Yeah.
once in a while. Those were the good days.
Well, and then 2019 happened, and then I was like really at that point I was really into baseball and like knew all the players and all that stuff. And then my husband and I actually got to go to game 1 of the World Series.
Wow.
And it was very fun. And then and then we got beat by the freaking Nats.
Oh, right.
I don't know what you mean.
That one.
That was
I remember that World Series.
We actually enjoyed that World Series from the other end of things.
A little bit.
Kendrick.
Although,
anyways, yes.
Yeah. Although the pain really for everybody from that World Series is nobody won a home game. Like, that's just weird. That was
crazy.
Weird.
Yeah. It was so bad. I was like, and by that point, I wasn't all in like I am now, but I watched pretty much all the games. Like, I knew the players and stuff. And then COVID hit, and I told Mike, I go, well, now what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Well,
what? I was like, there's no baseball.
It's too bad you didn't find us then, because I was living in Taiwan. Well, not literally, but I was like glued to Taiwanese baseball because it was the only thing that was happening in the world. And it turns out that like CPBL fans are just the best. Like, they're just wonderful, wonderful people, and it's a great community. And not a lot of teams, but a lot of spirit and a lot of heart. And it saved my soul through that 2020 mess.
We watched breakfast baseball.
Yeah.
In the morning, we're watching baseball. And actually, some of the people who are, listeners of our podcast, we overlap. They found us because of CPPL and all of that.
Awesome.
And we've met a couple of these folks. We've met up in here, in DC where we are. And it's a really tight community.
Yeah. So, well, and yeah, so COVID hit, and then and I was like, what am I going to do with baseball? I miss all of baseball. So then I watched old games on YouTube, found old games on YouTube.
That's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, would watch old programs on like MLB Network, and I would see players that are broadcasters now, but players and I would look at Mike and go, are you fucking kidding me right now? I'm like, what is happening? And he's like, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, well, when you're as old as dirt as I am, like I grew up with Dennis Eckersley, and then I loved watching Dennis Eckersley on Nessun for the past few years, and then he just retired. So like, just everything comes around.
Yeah. So I've gone back and watched old World Series, and not even of the Astros, just of like old World Series.
I have a few Dodgers I could recommend to you.
Yeah. Well, so I would just go back and like watch all these old games. I'm all, this is insane. Just watching the difference of how they played the game to now is just mind boggling to me. But it's so, and Mike gets a kick out of watching me watch these games and just is so
because he watched them the first time, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, because he's 51, I think. So he's 51.
He's our people.
Yeah. But he went to, the original Astrodome. Like he went to games with his dad in the original Astrodome, and he would tell me stories, and I just sit there like, oh my God, like a kid on Christmas morning, just so enthralled by these stories. And it cracks, and he makes me laugh now. And so, and now he'll ask me random questions, not about Astros, but just about like other players. And I'll just like rattle off things. And he's like, who are you? I don't understand.
But he's got to treat it like bonus, right? Because clearly he was already in love with you, right? And then now, all of a sudden, you have this connection with baseball. It's like, yay, okay.
Well, and he made you a great backdrop, really. Like, how can you?
He really did. He really did. Like, he put a lot of work into this. And when Shelby and I started this, he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm like, okay, go, whatever. Like, I was fine with whatever. And I have gotten more compliments on this setup than.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
He has done a fantastic job. And so he's like, I'm going to redo it. He's like, and then you're going to be like in the kind of the corner, and then you can have two walls behind you. I was like, you are adorable.
That is totally adorable. Do you know about our adorable drinking game?
I do.
Yeah, so cheers to that. Now. So on our show, if someone uses adorable in a sports context, it's not really a sports word, so we have to drink. So cheers to adorable.
And there's a certain one of us that usually does that. So I'm going to have to drink. Although I'm like at the bottom of my third whiskey. I don't know how long I'm going to last here, Suzy.
I'm just saying, it's the person who refers to uniforms as outfits about the same amount as she says uniforms. So that would be not me. Me. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it cracks me up because my twins, one of them knows all of the players on the Astros, their positions, pitchers, position players, and they have gone as far as knowing other players on other teams now.
Excellent.
And I was like,
do they want to play on our fantasy team? They can.
Right. Yeah, we have the kids as a group on the fantasy team, and I'm guessing they're going to re-up.
Those kids are 21 though. That's kids in air quotes.
Oh my God, but they didn't used to be.
In time, my children, my girls are going to make a fantastic baseball wife to somebody very far down the road.
Oh, very far down the road. That's way in the future. You never know what the future holds.
I mean, they could just find themselves a fine, baseball husband while they're playing the game. I'm just saying.
This is I love my children,
or a baseball wife.
My children, but they have the same athletic ability that I do, unfortunately, which is not much. So it's going to take quite a bit for them to actually play the game. But they were like, Mom,
you never
why can we not play baseball? I was like,
so put them in Little League, though. Put them in Little League. So I mean, that's where it's started all over the place. Baseball for All is doing amazing things, and there are a lot of girls teams happening all over the place. But mostly, in most places, the girls teams are more tournament oriented, and the girls on those girls teams are in Little League, and they're busting through. And since Maria Pepe did it in 1973, who sued Little League to say, girls can play in Little League, more and more every year, more girls are playing in Little League. And just, the more it happens, the more common it's going to get. And it's really like increasing.
It is. Unfortunately, we are of the indoor people who enjoy air conditioning.
All right. Well, you're in
and
Texas.
Legitimately when they go outside, they're like, I'm sweating, Mom. I don't like this. I was like, well, I don't like
Make
it either.
stop.
Yeah.
Make it stop. Yeah.
My one literally pirouettes around the house. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. She's going to be my dancer.
I have to say about age 8 is when my kid went from like individual sports to rocking third base.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden it was like, oh, I have a rocket for an arm. I like this game. And it came out of nowhere. Like, but my husband and I, we know we're both like big baseball fans, and it wasn't taking, and then all of a sudden it did. So, it could happen. Right. Don't limit things too soon. But
we shall see. We shall see. But legitimately every time we try anything outdoors, they're all, I'm sweating and I'm hot. I don't like this.
See, also, you live in a different kind of place than we do. We live in a place that, is yucky some of the year, but not yucky for quite a bit of the year. And you do want to be outside.
No, 90% of the time it's yucky down.
Yeah. but I do want to reinforce what Pottymouth was saying about, when girls playing baseball instead of softball, often they are the only one or only one of a couple girls on their little league team. So the fact that these girls only teams are popping up gives them a chance to get more playing time if they're on a team that's like, oh no, girls don't do this. But a lot of them, are much more embraced. Like my kid coached Little League for a while, and there was one girl, maybe two girls, and it took a little while, but then she was integrated in the team. But these all-girl teams really give these players a chance to shine because they don't have to think about anything else.
Yeah.
They can just play. They can just play. But the biggest problem in getting, girls to play baseball is there's not really a path for them because, as you talked about with Shelby, like the college scholarship thing. Yeah, there's not really a pathway built to get girls who start playing in Little League at 7 or 8 years old to a college scholarship playing baseball. They're going to be like moved to softball. I mean, Monet Davis got moved to softball,
right?
To go to college. So things are changing now. There's many more girls who are getting scholarships and showing up on, say, D1 teams, the Brown, for instance. But it's a long path, and thank God for places like Baseball for All, who are paying attention to it and calling attention to it, and reaching out to these girls and saying, you're not the only one who's doing this. There's girls over here who are doing this, and maybe there's girls over here doing this, and if you want to come. So when they do events, you can go as a team, but you can also go as an individual. If you go as an individual, they'll put a team together around these girls who are the only ones in their cities that they know that are playing, and they say, here, be part of a team, and it's their first chance to play on a team with other girls. So it's very cool.
Yeah, and often those girls will say, wow, this level of competition is way higher than what I'm used to, because you're going to like the cream of the crop when you're going to these tournaments. And girls that are, have been gritting it out and are serious about baseball, and when they're all together, it's like a magical thing. So if anybody who is listening or watching has some money to throw around, go to Baseball for All. It's really a wonderful organization to support. I don't remember when it was, but we interviewed Justine Siegel, the founder, director, everything, a while ago. And she's just an inspiration. She's amazing.
Yeah. So, and that was, like I said, that was another thing that I really liked about y'all's podcast, was that you guys were calling attention to that. And so thank you for mentioning that. I will put all of the links for that in the episode description below, so you guys can go check that out. But yeah, we were talking about D1 athletes, and I had shown the girls Olivia Pichardo, I think.
Good.
Yes. From Brown, that got the D1 scholarship, and they were like, wait, what?
And she walked on. Like, that's what blows me away about this young woman. As a freshman, she walked on to the baseball team. Like, how does that happen? She was just
a lot of confidence, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I loved telling the girls her about her story, about how, literally every time she went to go play baseball, she said, I don't want to put my hair up. I don't put my hair up.
Well, Noah Syndergaard doesn't put his hair up. Like, there's definitely plenty of.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because my one that loves to dance refuses to put her hair up for anything. So it's just a mess of rat's tails and all of it. But she loves it. She has her hair down all the time, and she goes, I can play baseball with my hair down. And I'm like,
Hell yeah.
Go for it.
There are so many guys with long hair who play baseball with their hair down. Like we could, that one we could list. I think like as far as like my baseball statistical knowledge, guys who wear their hair down is definitely up there. As far as
and that was another thing that cracked me up about y'all. So you guys, was it one of your listeners that instituted the QHAR?
Yes, Ollie.
Yes. Yeah, Ollie suggested, because we did have a grooming segment. Used to be more of a regular segment. Now it's kind of an once in a while segment. But we did talk about flow. We talked about hair, and he said, QHAR, it's a quality hair above replacement, is a thing. We don't actually assign numbers to it. We just sort of randomly say excellent QHAR or terrible QHAR.
Someday.
Pottymouth was starting to, based on one of my boyfriends I talked about this week, we can talk about boyfriends later. I said he had a lot of hair, but I couldn't tell if it was quality or not. And Pottymouth's like, well, maybe that's a different QHAR. But no, we don't care about quantity of hair. We don't care about quantity. It's only quality. I don't care if it's short, long, how much he's got. If it's quality, then it's okay.
Right.
Grooming was fun.
So explain the boyfriends of baseball term to our listeners who are not as familiar with that.
It sounds like it's creepy, doesn't it?
I mean, just a little bit. When I first heard it, I was like, what's happening here? And then you explained it, and I was like, oh, okay, I got it. So, go ahead and explain it to the listeners so they're not like, are we cougars? What's going on?
No. Go ahead, Patti. Explain it. It doesn't sound bad.
Okay.
I'll take this one. Yeah. No, I mean, it does sound bad because, but just because all of these guys could be our children. But we basically, in the off season, our content is largely profiling players. So each of us picks a player on every team. So, we each pick 30 guys. And over the course of the off season, we profile them. We tell you stories about them. Like, it could be where they're from or what makes them special. And initially it was, okay, they have to be good at baseball. They have to really like playing baseball. I think they get that it's a game, that it's fun. And they have to have something else interesting about them that makes us want to have a beer with them. Whether it's philanthropy or a cool childhood story or some crazy thing that they do, or the fact that they're also potty mouths or whatever it is, but something
extra points if they're actually
absolutely
right.
That's my pick.
We've picked boyfriends because we like their girlfriends.
Yeah.
So that's
or
happened.
their mothers.
Or their mothers.
Moms is a big plus. Yeah.
So again, baseball boyfriends, alliteration. We always lead into the alliteration. And actually, a good friend of mine used to refer to guys on teams like, oh, he's my boyfriend. He's my boyfriend. And she did not like boys generally. So I'm just saying. So it came from an honest place.
Right.
It came from a very honest place. These are the guys that we want to watch. And the cool thing about us having these guys identified is it means we can watch any baseball game at any time and know something about at least one of the players. And by now, since we've been doing this for so long, usually a handful of the players. And it makes every single game interesting because we know about these guys.
Exactly. Yeah. And the challenge is that we can't repeat a guy. We can hold over one guy who is our forever boyfriend until we decide to change him. But
until we get fickle.
Yeah, but besides that, we need to pick all new guys, which is, after we've done 6 seasons, it gets a little bit, it cuts things down a little bit. So we've got to be creative, and we're looking at rookies or guys that have just been missed and we're flying under the radar. But it definitely, forces us to do our research and to look for something. And we can't have assholes, so that we definitely have standards. Yeah. So if there's anybody who is even tainted, and it's sort of like, instead of innocent until proven guilty, it's like guilty until proven innocent, because we don't, we can't fact check that closely. And the reality is most of the time, if something happens like that, there's something behind it. So if there's anybody who's been...
You mean to tell me Trevor Bauer's not going to be
never going to be a boyfriend? That's for sure. But we have a list of guys who've been accused of abuse, or that's definitely the big one.
So we have a list of never going to be a boyfriend that we impose on our fantasy.
Yeah,
so part of our boyfriend selections is Pottymouth and I then select from these guys that we've profiled, and we build our fantasy teams for the coming season. So we're very limited by these guys that we select. But we do say, okay, all y'all who want to play in our fantasy league, you can't pick these guys because it's verified that they're domestic abusers or homophobic or racist remarks or things that we cannot excuse.
Right.
There are other people that like they may piss me off, but they may not fit into that category. They may piss Pottymouth off. So we say use your best judgment. Could you honestly sit in a bar and have a beer, be seen with this person, and have a conversation that you feel good about? If so, great. They can be on your team, but you have to be the judge of that.
Yeah, but I think those are the big ones, like abuse, racism, homophobia. That's you're just gone. Like even if it was like 5 years ago on your Twitter, I'm sorry, we just can't.
Can't. And I think that's important to talk about. Like for our podcast, we everything is in the context of baseball, but we do talk a lot about social justice issues because baseball has all kinds of immigration components. It has a whole big slew of labor and economic capitalism with the owners and all kinds of things. And we do talk about all those things. It's always in the context of baseball, but it just shows you that it's not just the game. It's like it kind of expands into the rest of the world.
Right. It's our microcosm.
Yep.
So, side note for your baseball boyfriends for this year for the Astros. Take a look at Hunter Brown and David Hensley.
All right, wait. We got to take notes because both those names are new to me.
If there was a way to capture this so we could play it later and get those names down, that would be awesome.
Yeah. You know, so at some point maybe that will happen. I don't know. That's
right. So if there's anybody actually out there who's watching, listening, whatever, I don't understand this video stuff because we just do audio, who has suggestions for baseball boyfriends, we work our way up from the bottom of the barrel. So at this point, we just did Rangers and Rockies. Next week's is what? Did you?
I knew you were going to ask that. I don't remember. I said it when we recorded. I don't remember. I'll look at it on Saturday when I start thinking about it.
So that's where we are. So if you love a team who is above that and want to give us any, like what Suzy just did, you know, I'm up for blind dates. Like I can do that as long as
set us up with our baseball boyfriends for the people who finished higher in the standings.
Yeah. So Hunter Brown and David Hensley, you will love both of their stories.
Excellent.
Did either one of you pick Chas McCormick? I don't remember.
Did we?
I don't think so. And like your homage to him is adorable, I
think we talked about him a lot afterwards. Yep.
Chas McCormick is also a really good one. So those are your three options that you have for the Astros.
Excellent.
But so again, like I loved the different point of view that you guys gave, especially trying to highlight women in baseball and women in baseball situations like Dr. Meredith Wills. I will put this out here and say that you guys are the first people to bring attention to the juiced baseballs and the different baseballs with Dr. Meredith Wills way before any other podcast even had a thought about it. And I'm like, how are y'all all so far behind? What's going on? And I just really loved that she was an actual scientist that loved baseball enough to figure this out.
Astrophysicist, PhD from Harvard. Yep.
And the fact that, and also I'm a tiny, and this is just me grandstanding and being on a soapbox, but I'm a little bit salty that people are wanting to interview Brad. Is it Brad?
Right.
Brad.
Right.
Brad.
Actually, that was
versus Dr. Meredith Wills, who is the whole reason that you have this data. I'm all
Bradford. Yes. But Bradford wrote the article, and Dr. Wills said, you know, he wrote the article, so they actually did put him out there as the person to talk about it because it was based on her research. But Bradford wrote. He was the journalist who wrote the piece. That was fine. But so we still need to book her because she said she would come on our show, but that Bradford was doing the bulk of it. And that was a choice. That was a choice. Now, interestingly, she's getting a little bit of crap because the editors of the article played fast and loose with the science. And so some of their word choices were not what her research had. And they actually changed a little bit of what the research meant. So she's been getting some backlash, and it's because of what the editors did with the article. So we definitely want to talk to her about that. But I got to say, I originally found her a long time ago because she's also a knitter, And I'm a
I love
crocheter.
that fact too.
I'm a crocheter. And she actually has a gig with the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Recreating knitting patterns to duplicate baseball uniform, like actual sweaters. They used to have like these cardigans and stuff, and like from like, you know, the before times, like a long time ago. And her, like, that was a gig. That's her gig, is to like create these patterns to knit these things. And so I actually did, like, she's done this too, but like I took apart a baseball for fun because I wanted to like see what the inside looked like, and I knit a hat. I mean, I crocheted a hat out of it. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I do that all the time." And I saw stuff. So we had a little handicraft bond.
That's amazing.
As I'm making shit up, I just want to correct myself. Her BA was from Harvard, PhD is elsewhere, but definitely astrophysicist. But I thought in that she started with the baseball stuff because she was ripping them apart for the yarn.
Might have been
that. I think that was like the beginning of taking apart the baseballs, was using the yarn for crafts and then being like, what's going on in here?
Well, why doesn't this weigh the same as that, for instance?
Yeah.
But we sort of met her on Twitter, like personally, because we sort of developed this group of people that I refer to as my imaginary baseball friends. Like it's some other podcasters, it's people who do various things around baseball, and like, oh, I know this person, and then we just sort of ended up in this group, and it's like, oh, are we friends now? How cool is that? So,
right? Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so I just loved that it was an astrophysicist and it was a female astrophysicist, which, you know, those two things typically in your head kind of don't go together most of the time, because you're like, oh,
right. And plus baseball, right?
Yes. Right. And so, but when that study came out, I was a little salty that Brad, I was like, but it's Dr. Meredith Wills. Why is no one paying attention to her? And then, but I understand. However, still kind of salty about it. So,
that's fair.
If you want to put in a good word for us over here,
sure.
You know, and just say, hey, if you want to go on another women-led baseball podcast that wants to talk to you about it, by all means.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say like the big baseball podcast down here in Houston had Brad on.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, super, super awesome guys down here. They actually have a media company, but also they do a bunch of shirts. So like not this shirt, but a lot of the players wear the different shirts, but like the H-Town versus everybody, like Correa and McCullers like wore the shirts to work out or something. And then they just blew up overnight. They're called Apollo HOU. Super awesome guys.
Nice.
We had Des on the show, who was one of the co-founders a couple of episodes ago, and they had Brad on the show, and I was like, I'm a little salty. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little salty. Like, can we go to the source? Can we go to Dr. Meredith Wills? No? Okay, cool. We'll just be over here.
Yeah. So, no, it's okay. It's okay. Meredith is cool. But so if any of your viewers are unclear, this is an article that was in the Insider, and it's Bradford William Davis is the journalist who wrote the article based on the research of Dr. Meredith Wills.
Yeah. And I will link that article as well. And we down here in Astroville loved that the Goldilocks balls.
The Goldilocks balls.
You know, we're just very coincidentally sent to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
And
Yankee Stadium and World Series games. Yeah.
We just love that. And I would pay $1 gajillion imaginary dollars for that Chas McCormick home run ball that does right on over that right field wall. And I'm like, I guarantee you that
puppy's juiced. Yeah.
So also though, Meredith needs balls, right? So if anybody has balls,
I'm sorry, she what now?
if
she wants your balls.
Right. If anybody has balls that they're willing to part with, send them to Meredith. And
you might want to add game balls.
Game balls. Right.
Balls.
Right. And Suzy, like, we'll provide you with, I think we have the address. There's definitely send the balls to Meredith. Patti has a link because she puts it in all of our show notes. So there must be a link somewhere. But
Suzy will recover eventually. Welcome to our world, Suzy.
Right.
I'm going to recover.
Right. But especially like a special shout out if there are anybody who has Cardinals balls, because one of the things about tracing the Yankee Stadium balls was that we know that Aaron Judge was going for the record. Well, Albert Pujols was also going for a record, and Dr. Wills does not have enough balls to make a statement from St. Louis. So if anybody has St. Louis
breathing
balls,
anytime now.
sign them up and send them out.
So this is another reason why I started this podcast, was so that I could laugh at 12-year-old boy humor.
That's how Patti often describes me.
I won't lie that when we started the podcast, El Jefe looked me right in the eye and said, "You realize you're the adult here."
All right, now I'm losing my shit.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, I mean, on the last episode, we were talking about the Blue Jays outfield, and we were talking about Dalton Varsho and Kevin Kiermaier and George Springer, and I was like, no balls will drop in that outfield.
No.
Unless you're a 12-year-old boy.
That just blows my mind that that's the Toronto outfield now. Like that's not the Toronto outfield that I know and loved. But
so do you miss George Springer?
I'm sorry?
Do you miss George Springer, or is he?
I don't.
You don't? Okay.
I don't. I personally don't. There is a faction of Astros Twitter that will hang me by my toenails by saying that. But I personally don't.
And I wouldn't even ask about Carlos Correa, because of course there's no reason to miss him.
It is Jeremy Pena season all day.
Sure.
Every day. Okay?
And I picked him as a baseball boyfriend very early. It was a premature pick, but that's one that I'm now cashing in on.
I am, but I'm going to be that creepy old lady. And if Jeremy Pena just batted his eyes,
those big, beautiful eyes, right?
He is gorgeous. If baseball doesn't work out for him, he can just go and start his modeling career like Zach Wilson over there. But
the number of people who texted me about Jeremy Pena as if I haven't been following baseball for my entire life, I was like, welcome to baseball. Yes, you're correct.
Yes. Well, and what really cracks me up is that he has broken into that upper echelon of Astros fandom, essentially. So down here we have a grocery chain.
It's crazy.
Well, we have a grocery chain called HEB, and they are known for their funny commercials. And before Correa left, it was Correa and Altuve and Bregman. And they all had these funny HEB commercials.
Oh my God.
And this year, Jeremy Pena just slid right on in.
Oh, sure.
And they have a really funny one called Salsa Night. You'll have to look it up on YouTube because it is hysterical.
Are you serious?
Yes.
All right, if only
I don't know who wrote it
on
who at the advertising agency for HEB figured out a Salsa Night for them. It is Chef's Kiss. Because it's Lance McCullers and Jeremy Pena, Jose Altuve, and Alex Bregman. And again, I don't understand how it happened, because there are other quote unquote rookies in there that in Astros fandom have more, I guess, capital, you could say. I mean, like you got like Jordan in there, you got Kyle Tucker in there, but Jeremy Pena just batted his eyelashes and smiled that 1,000 watt smile, and I'm like, yes, Jeremy Pena, but yes.
I will buy these things at the store. Yes.
1,000%.
Will you send us a link, or do I have to do my research on this?
I think you can find it.
I will send you a link, but it's hysterical, and I will give all the props to the HEB, like the advertising agency that came up with the idea, because it is hysterical, and it fits their personalities so well. And I'm like, shout out to Jeremy Pena. Like, I don't know if he went through media training or what he did, because
does he have star power?
He does. He has star power. That is the je ne sais quoi, if you will. Like, he has that X factor, right? Like, yeah. And so, I went 1,000% fully on the Jeremy Pena train. Shelby, on the other hand, misses Correa.
Really?
Because she grew she grew up with Correa.
Okay.
I say grew up. I mean, she followed Correa since he was a rookie, and, we drafted him.
Since he had the whole ankle thing. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, right, yeah. And so I feel bad for her, because she's like, oh, I kind of miss Correa. I'm like, I don't. I will take Jeremy Pena all day, every day, all the days. forever and ever.
So
always.
I picked Jeremy
Thank
Pena
you.
in 2020 when he didn't even play. Like totally premature. Totally.
You knew something. You knew something
That-
ahead of time for
you,
sure.
you knew he had that thing.
Yeah, I got to look back and see whatever I said.
But yeah, he's delightful, and we love our shortstop forever now, Jeremy Pena. Yeah, and Astros Twitter was just in shambles when we let Correa walk. And I was
So
like,
do you
I'm
think
cool.
he's signing with the Mets?
Oh yeah, 1,000%. Will he sign for 12 years and $315 million? No, absolutely not.
Right.
5 years. 5 years.
yeah.
5 years.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
were in agreement on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be significantly cheaper and significantly shorter.
I'm just blown away that it's taken this long. Like, I understood
Yeah.
the cheaper and shorter, but like here we are, like it's just gone silent. It's bizarre.
And well, so someone had brought up, I don't remember which podcast I was listening to, but someone had brought up a really good point about the plate in the ankle, about like the wear and tear and like life of it.
Yep.
And they're thinking that maybe the shelf life of whatever surgery
Oh my
plate
God.
thing that he had put in maybe is at the tail end of it,
Yeah.
and he'll be more apt to re-injure it or something like that. So I was like, oh, that's a very good point. And I obviously haven't done my research on medical surgeries of ankle plates, but I'm like, how? I wouldn't think that there would be a shelf life on that, but to be a professional athlete and put
Wear and
that
tear.
type of mileage on that important of a joint, I would say, I was like, oh, maybe it is a thing. So
That could be a thing.
I don't know, with like HIPAA laws and all of that fun things, I don't know if we'll ever be in the quote unquote no, but
So do you think if it's like, half the millions, like $150 million in 5 years, do you think his quality of life would actually be different? I mean, it just seems like that's funny money at that point. And it's like, just play, just take it and play.
yeah. Well, and what really cracks me up is that he was adamant here that he was not moving to third base or anything. He was shortstop, and he's going to end his career as a shortstop. And so the fact that he so quickly changed his tune, I'm like, that's not sus at all, Carlos Correa. What's going on over there? Mm-hmm. And and I get it. The Mets have put together a great starting rotation, and they're position players. They've got some good depth over there, and so they are a legit threat in the NL. I could see how he would say, okay, I'll move to third for Francisco Lindor to play short.
But
I want more rings.
But there's so many, like there are teams, believe it or not, who need shortstops. I'm not mentioning any names here. Actually, we do have a shortstop who moved over in order to go to the Red Sox. But
when you say we, you don't mean no crying in baseball.
No, I don't. But still, like if he wanted to just play shortstop, he could find a place to play shortstop. So it's
he wants a ring.
He wants a ring. He wants another one. And there's and I don't blame him. I don't blame him for that. But if he if that mattered that much to him, and I don't know how much of a philanthropic. There we go. Philanthropic.
I can do this for you too, Suzy. It's not just for Pottymouth.
I was like,
Patti will help.
What is the enunciation of that? Yeah, but I don't know how much philanthropic heart he had. I mean, because Jeremy Pena literally said that Carlos went to him before the start of the season and said, "You're going to be our shortstop. Like, go, be prepared, because you're going to be it." And so
I think he's good.
Exactly. And so I don't know how much of that is he wanted to give Jeremy Pena a shot, or if he wanted to be paid, or maybe it's a little bit of both, which is fine. And so I don't blame him, but it's one of those that I'm like, Carlos Correa, I tip my hat. Thank you for your service. Thank you for letting Jeremy Pena.
Thank you for getting out of the way.
And we appreciate you. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but we have been talking for like an hour.
It's a school night.
An hour. On a school night.
Man, that flies back.
I
I was just fact checking myself. I picked Carlos Correa in 2019 as my Astros boyfriend, and I picked Jeremy Pena in 2020 as my Astros boyfriend. So go figure.
Yeah.
You saw what was happening.
Hey.
Exactly. So, I'm just saying I'm letting you in on a little Astro secret.
Yep.
Hunter Brown, David Hensley,
Perfect.
Chas McCormick.
All
All
right.
three guys, delightful.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
but I appreciate you guys coming on a school night. Pottymouth, I appreciate you drinking 2.5 glasses of bourbon on a school night for me.
Thank you for that half. I really appreciate that. It was not really 3 glasses. It was the half.
And it was really a big shot. It wasn't
it was my Boston
It wasn't
big shot.
the church bingo glass that I was
Right.
working with here.
Well, I gave up on and really this is like melted ice right now. So I gave up on my bourbon and I really started in on my Bloody Mary.
Oh,
so
that really has
gone
gone down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the Bloody Mary is delicious. So
Your dedication to the bourbon is adorable. The
secret is spicy pickle juice.
Oh,
Get out. Oh, I like how you roll.
Where do you get spicy pickle juice?
I'll link it. I'll link it in the
in the show notes. Nice.
I'll send you the link to Chacho's for people who want the jalapeno aguardiente too.
It's super good.
Yeah.
That
totally
might have been how we ended New Year's Eve, actually. Patti and I.
Pottymouth referred to them as regrettable shots. I did not regret the shots in any way.
Ooh, yeah. So, but yeah, that's the secret. Spicy pickle juice, zing zang mix, and some vodka.
Okay.
Mwah. Anyway, so again, Patti and Pottymouth, I thank you guys for spending your school night with me and drinking only a mild amount of alcohol with me on this episode. I will, can you tell us, there we go, where we can find you on social media and whatnot?
Oh, that would be my gig. Right. All right.
Yeah, it is.
I'm usually about this drunk at the point in the episode where I have to say this. So you can find us on Twitter at NCIB Podcast. Facebook and Instagram is No Crying in B-Ball.
And the podcast is No Crying in Baseball, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will link all of that stuff in the episode description below. I say below like it's right here. It's, where to find it, right? I will link all of that in the episode description so our listeners can find you guys. And again, I thank you guys for coming on. It really is a treat because really and truly, you guys are my first like women-led baseball podcast, and I kind of love you guys for it. So,
and we kind of love you
so
too.
much, Suzy. Yeah, this was super awesome.
I mean, I am a Patreon supporter. My $5 goes a long way.
It totally
Taking
does.
us to Miami, man. Meet us in Miami.
Right,
we'll buy you a drink.
Yes. Shelby and I really are going to talk about that. So,
okay, excellent.
But again, we thank you guys for liking and subscribing and rating the podcast. If you guys listen, we really appreciate all of the rates and reviews and stars and all of that fun stuff. What do the kids say? Smash that like button. I think that's what the kids say. I say that.
The 7-year-olds? Your
No.
The
No, my
youths.
7-year-olds don't know what YouTube is, actually.
They just say that to you. They know.
Yeah.
They know.
Shh. Let me live in my denial, Patti. Goodness.
Sorry.
But again, thank you guys for joining us. Patti and Pottymouth, we thank you guys for hanging out with us. To all of our listeners, we appreciate y'all. And we will see you guys next